Hi guys, it's me, ChazRHD, and welcome to race day here in Baku, and welcome to the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and of course for this race watch along for the Grand Prix that begins in about 29 minutes time. Hopefully you guys are doing well ahead of what is going to be a very, very hot, by the looks of it, Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The wind has dropped completely in Baku, and yeah, it's going to be very, very hot for the drivers. The tyres are going to definitely wear out quite a bit here in Baku, and also we know that this can be, at times, a race of attrition. So I think we are in for an exciting race. I don't see the top three finishing the way it's, started. I don't see that happening at all. I think definitely we will see some changes up there. And in the midfield, we'll see plenty as well, with certain cars that are not quite at the front of the midfield pack having very good straight line speed. So definitely I think we're going to see plenty of overtaking today. And if we get a couple of safety cars, or even just one safety car, then I think we're going to see some very good racing today. Hopefully you guys are excited as me and Nib. I'll bring Nib on or in just a minute. Just want to say, hopefully you guys are doing well. And yeah, no matter what time it is in your part of the world, hopefully having a good day, and hopefully with us you'll be watching along the Grand Prix. If you can't watch the Grand Prix though, then don't worry, we'll keep you up to date with everything that goes on in the race. Now let me get into the results from qualifying and get into the starting grid for today's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So Charles Leclerc, for the second year in a row, is on pole position, this time in a much faster car, so his chances of victory this time definitely much, much better. Sergio Perez is on the front row in second place. The last time he qualified second was in 2016, but that year had a grid penalty, so he didn't actually start from the front row, but still got a podium that day. Before India, Max Verstappen starts in third, equaling his best qualifying result ever in Baku. And then Carlos Sainz was fourth. Very disappointing for him because he was on provisional pole position until that final lap. And then George Russell fifth, Pierre Gasly sixth, Lewis Hamilton seventh, Yuki Tsunoda eighth, Sebastian Vettel ninth, and Fernando Alonso in 10th. And then Norris 11th, Ricciardo 12th, Ocon in 13th, and then 14th is Zhou, 15th Valtteri Bottas, and then the rest of the order, Magnussen in 16th place, Albon, Latifi, Stroll, and Mick Schumacher at the very back of the field. We'll see how they all get on today in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But these pictures on the screen right now, these will be the ones taking you through today's Grand Prix. Let me just quickly adjust them slightly. There you go. And I'll now bring in Nib to get his thoughts going into the Grand Prix. Nib, firstly, how are you doing? And do you think after, obviously, Monaco, which was, for a Monaco Grand Prix, it was pretty decent, actually, but obviously we didn't get a ton of overtaking, but do you think today we're going to get the complete opposite?
Well, I'm doing very good. We'll start off with that. I hope everyone else is, of course, doing well. And yeah, of course, we're going to have plenty of overtaking today. Just with the nature of the final sector, of course, and there being, 2.2 kilometers of it just being flat out. So yeah, we're going to have lots of overtaking. But of course, if you looked at F1 Twitter after the Monaco Grand Prix, everyone thought it was absolutely terrible, which is just ridiculous because it was actually a quite intriguing and good Grand Prix. But everyone just wants loads of overtaking, and I think we'll certainly be getting that today.
Yeah, I think we will. And to be honest, I think we might get quite a few DRS overtakes that are just, the overtake's done way before the braking zone. Obviously, these cars can follow better. We know that. So through the final couple corners of the middle sector and, the final real corner of turn 16, I definitely expect them to be following a lot better than they were last year. Of course, last year's Grand Prix was pretty good, but we did get, a safety car. I think was it two safety cars? No, it was one safety car and then a red flag and then a standing restart with about a lap to go, I think, last year. So, yeah, I think definitely a good chance of some good racing today. So, yeah, we'll start by talking about the front drivers. Of course, Charles Leclerc on pole position. Brilliant lap by him. The middle sector especially. He was 0.3 of a second quicker than the Red Bulls in the middle sector alone. A brilliant lap by the Monegasque. Gets his 6th pole position in 8 races this season. He is the king of qualifying without a doubt this year. And yeah, brilliant lap by him. Sergio Perez, obviously, 2nd and Verstappen 3rd. Really, like I said in my preview from last night, I do think Red Bull have the better race car. Obviously, the straight line speed advantage is going to be massive for them in this Grand Prix. And we know that if Red Bull can stick close to Ferrari, that strategically, if they can apply pressure, then Ferrari, are definitely prone to cracking under pressure. But really, from a Ferrari perspective, if they were going to give themselves a great chance of victory, they really did need what they had initially before that first run, or the final run, sorry, in Q3, which was a front row. They really needed that to protect themselves from what Red Bull can do. But yeah, with Leclerc first, Perez second, Verstappen third, it's going to be pretty tough for Leclerc to pull away enough to, to build a gap where the Red Bulls cannot really gain a good slipstream on the Ferrari and really get after Leclerc on the straight. So, from Leclerc's perspective, I think he'll give it absolutely everything in this race. I wouldn't be surprised if, despite not winning the race, he still drives really, really well. But I just think Red Bull will have too much for him in this Grand Prix. So my personal prediction is going to be obviously Perez to win, and then I'm going to go for Verstappen second, Leclerc third for my podium. Nib, for the top teams, what can Ferrari do to defend themselves? Because I think, even though I could basically reveal now that you also think Red Bull are going to be winning today's Grand Prix, what can Ferrari do to win this Grand Prix? Because they still have a good chance. It's not like they're miles off the pace, or it's like last year where they ended up falling down to 3rd or 4th after about 10 laps. It's not going to be that bad for them, but is it realistic to expect them as well to hang on? But yeah, what do you think they can do, Ferrari, to keep ahead?
Well, I mean, the Ferrari to win today, I think they just got to hope that they have significantly better tyre wear than Red Bull today, or of course do the good old Vettel and just get that 1 second margin already. When the DRS is, of course, activated. And just going through the highlights here on Sky, we've had quite a lot of iconic moments here.
We have.
At Azerbaijan, haven't we? I mean, I don't think many of us would have thought that would be the case after the first Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I remember us, in particular, were absolutely slating it. And that day here in 2018, the Ricciardo-Verstappen battle was absolutely ridiculous. It was always going to end in a crash because it was just on the limit, basically the whole entire race. Of course, then here we're seeing Bottas when he overtook, was it Stroll on the line on the final lap? I mean, yeah, we've had quite a lot of good moments here. It's just weird looking at an F1 car without a halo, but yeah, I very much echo your thoughts. I just think the Red Bull will have a better race car today, of course, with the straight line speed advantage. In quali, it doesn't matter as much, but in the race, of course, it will matter a lot more. Ferrari won't be able to match Red Bull as well in the straights, and yeah, I do think that Verstappen will win this Grand Prix. I think he will beat Perez today. He needs to respond, as he struggled over the last couple of Grand Prix. I mean, I say he struggled. It's also been a tremendous performance by Sergio Perez over the course of this season. He really is doing a fantastic job and deserves, as we all thought, to be the second Red Bull driver. And then I think Leclerc will finish in 3rd with Sainz in 4th. And then I'm going to say it's the day for the L plan. Fernando Alonso in 5th with that absolute rocket ship of an Alpine.
Yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't be massively surprised if he got 5th. Obviously, he's on my screen now. What he needs is a couple restarts where he can stick close to cars ahead. Because, in that final sector, I mean, we saw it in practice, I think consistently the quickest, and in Sector 3 in Q3, he was quickest again. So, yeah, watch out for Alonso today, and we'll get onto the midfield soon enough. But yeah, I just think there's too many things going Red Bull's way for this race. Like you said, the straight line speed. And yeah, from a tyre wear perspective, with it being so hot, and obviously Leclerc, it's not like Leclerc's going to be able to, to coast out there because he has a massively quick car. He's going to have to push in that first stint to try and keep the gap over a second. So Red Bull will also be able to wear out their tyres, and that'll play into their hands. So yeah, I think from a Red Bull perspective, that's looking great for them. And yeah, my prediction for the race, top 5 is, Sergio Perez winning, Verstappen second, and then Leclerc third, Sainz fourth, and Russell in fifth. Guys, for everyone watching now, let me know right now in the live chat what your predictions are for the Grand Prix, which is beginning in about 18.5 minutes time. Make sure to post your predictions. You can do top 5, top 10 if you want. And I'll make sure to read it out a few minutes before we get going here in Baku. So yeah, let me know what you think is going to happen in the chat. But we'll go on to the midfield now. And it does seem as though we've got a pretty clear pecking order. I'd say probably Mercedes the third quickest team, AlphaTauri fourth, and then Alpine fifth, McLaren sixth. Maybe you could put Aston Martin kind of in there. I mean, it's hard to know because obviously Stroll crashed in Q1. I think if he didn't crash Stroll, I think he definitely would have had the pace to get into Q2 and probably, at least 14th place. So, yeah, I think it's pretty clear to see in the midfield, who is where. Mercedes, I think, will finish in 5th and 6th because I think they just have a good enough car overall for the race. And we've seen race pace for them has been pretty good this season. AlphaTauri should be able to hang on to a double points finish for them. Probably not, 7th and 8th. I don't think it'll be that comfortable for them because Vettel behind, I'm pretty sure, will have some decent pace, and also Alonso, as we've said, will be an absolute rocket down the straight. So, yeah, it's going to be, I think after the two Mercedes, it's going to be a good fight between the two AlphaTauris, Vettel, Alonso, maybe one of the McLarens. I'm not sure about both, but McLaren are, they're going to need some luck if they're going to get a point today, let's be honest. And also Esteban Ocon, we have to remember, in 13th, also in the Alpine. I'm sure he'll have plenty of speed in that Alpine today. Certainly more than we saw in qualifying. Quite a surprising result from Ocon that he ended up in 13th place because he was looking like a top 10 runner through practice. But then again, Alonso was also looking a bit better in practice than he actually was in qualifying. But for the midfield nib, obviously, I think you'd probably agree Mercedes should be good enough to finish 5th and 6th today. And then for, say AlphaTauri, Alpine, McLaren, Aston Martin, who do you think wins that fight, and who are you really looking out for other than Fernando Alonso?
Probably Sebastian Vettel. Obviously, they do have the Mercedes engine, which we know isn't exactly helpful, as we see McLaren just terrible in the final sector, where they have the lowest speeds in the speed traps all weekend. That's why I don't think McLaren will do particularly well today, just because, you need straight line speed to be good here, and they certainly don't have that, unfortunately, for my man, Mr. Ricciardo. But yeah, Vettel, I mean, he's always good around here. I know you were discussing it early in the weekend, but I also think the AlphaTauris, for sure, they've been really quick in the straight line speed, and I'd certainly expect Gasly and Tsunoda to put in some good performances today as well.
Yeah, I think with Sebastian, I think you're correct there. And also remember, last year, obviously, he finished second, but started lower on the grid last year. I think last year he started 11th or 12th. I think he might have been 12th on the grid. So, I mean, I'm not saying he'll get the podium today if there's enough retirements up front, but, I mean, doesn't have the straight line speed probably that the Aston Martin had last year in comparison to the rest of the field, but if you look at his final sector speed from qualifying, he was second quickest in qualifying, just behind Alonso. So And it appears also in the speed traps he's not doing too bad. So yeah, we'll look out for him, see how he does on that front. But yeah, I'd say if I was to predict the midfield, I'd probably say Russell, 5th, Hamilton 6th, and then I'll go Gasly 7th, Alonso 8th, Vettel 9th, and then I'm going to go Ocon in 10th. It'll be very close, though, between Ocon, Tsunoda, and probably Norris, and also Vettel, Alonso to a certain degree. So yeah, watch out for the midfield today, because it will be very exciting. And hopefully, if a couple of the top guys, have to retire for the race for whatever reason, you never know what could happen. We could see a surprise podium today. And I don't mean a Mercedes on the podium. Yeah, that's the midfield. And yeah, guys, let me know in the chat. Keep letting me know, what you think is going to happen in terms of the top 5 and top 10 in the Grand Prix today. Keep posting your predictions in chat. I just want to ask, Nib, for Daniel Ricciardo, are you pleased with how he's performed this weekend? I mean, he's been most of the weekend about 0.2 off Norris's pace, which, to be honest, is what you would expect, isn't it, from him?
Well, it's not what I would hope from him, that's for sure, but it's better than what it has been in the previous Grand Prix. So yeah, Ricciardo's been better this weekend, but as I was just mentioning, I don't hold out too much hope for him in this race, unless there's just absolute chaos in which he can benefit from.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, we don't get a similar situation with McLaren to what happened in Barcelona, where they were just being swamped. I remember in that first 20 laps or so.
Well, Ricciardo was being swamped.
Norris as well, by a couple people.
Well, Norris also did have tonsillitis, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that one with Lando, whereas Ricciardo was a stinky performance in Barcelona, and then of course in Monaco as well, where he of course runs the streets.
Yeah, well, at least he's doing the best he can this weekend. I think we can say that. It's just, it's down to McLaren really why they lack performance. If they had the straight line speed of what they had last year, in comparison to the rest of the field, McLaren probably would have qualified both cars in the top 8, maybe even top 7. So, yeah, disappointing for them, but improvements need to be made. But yeah, we've got, 11 and a half minutes to go until the race begins here in Baku. So, I will come to the chat in a moment to see what you guys have to say in terms of predictions, and make sure to keep posting them in chat. Just want to say, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, because we do this for every race weekend. And as well, don't forget, I will be live about 45 minutes after the race finishes, whenever the race finishes. Hopefully it doesn't go on forever like Monaco. So yeah, 45 minutes after the race finishes, I'll be live with a race reaction stream. And then tomorrow night at 8 PM, as long as there is enough to talk about, which I think there will be from this race, hopefully, I am going to do a deeper review of what happened in Baku and look at, some incidents, if there is any, in a bit more depth, and I guess the pace of the certain cars, and also just how things, what caused the results to end up the way they did, I guess you could say. Yeah, that'll be live tomorrow night, Monday night at 8 PM UK time. And obviously, I'll be live for plenty of content every session next weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. Cannot wait to be going back to Montreal after so long. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. And as well, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. But I'll read out all of the predictions in chat. If anyone is joining new, though, then don't be shy when posting yours. Dylan Forrestal says Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Alonso, Sainz. G. Walker says Perez, Leclerc, Max. Nello Angelo says Perez, Max, Leclerc. Aline says Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton, and Sainz DNF. Miss Marquise says Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Alonso, Sainz. So, yeah, looks like yeah, looks like all of you so far going for a Red Bull win. And let's find some others here. Brabham Oz says crazy prediction, Alonso podium. Let's see if there's any others here. Rooksford, obviously my great moderator in chat, says Verstappen, not Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, then Verstappen, then Sainz and Tsunoda. Nib's first bathroom break around lap 24. That's a good one. And then McLaren F1 Race says Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz. So we've got about 99%, or at least 95% of you are going for a Red Bull. Where Rook says you're not on the 2-stop strat. That's good.
No cold water today, so
yeah,
we're all right.
Well, if there is, a couple safety cars today, I'm sure you'll take advantage of that, especially if there's a red flag as well.
Well, yeah, that was the good thing about Monaco was, well, could just go as we please.
Yeah, absolutely. As they've on the grid, as I'm just looking at the TV broadcast now, they've finished the national anthem, and the drivers are just getting their overalls on and our helmets on, and are literally about to get into the car. We are that close to racing here in Baku.
Thank you, Baku.
Yeah, as well. Got to remember that. Thank you, Baku. John Hawking says I fancy Checo today. Paul James Squibbs says Vettel to finish in front of Alonso and Hamilton for the Golden Oldies win. Let's see if there's anything else here that I can find in terms of predictions. I think I've read all of them out, but if you have any more, then make sure to post them in the chat. But let me now, as we're getting very close now, get on to the final few stats heading into the Grand Prix that we have to remember going into the race in terms of what could possibly happen. So, starting with Ferrari. Ferrari have never won a race in Baku, despite having now 2 pole positions in Baku. Charles Leclerc has 1 pole position before this year in Baku from 2021, but of course he finished 4th in that Grand Prix. Also, Vettel, with his pole position for Ferrari in 2018, also finished in 4th place. And Ferrari only have 3 podium finishes in Baku since 2016. And when you consider how quick they've been here since we started racing here, that is not a good return, really. Because the second best car in 2016 and 17, and probably the quickest car for 2018, maybe 2019 as well. So, yeah, only 3 podium finishes is definitely not that great of a return. So, in terms of race day history, not great this Grand Prix for Ferrari. Red Bull, though, it's a lot better. Red Bull have 2 race wins from Baku in 2017 and 2021. Of course, Sergio Perez won last year in Baku. Max Verstappen has never won a race or finished on the podium in Azerbaijan. Not a great track for him. Hopefully, he can do better today. Of course, last year would have won the race if it wasn't for his tyre blowout. So I'm sure he will, in a car that definitely suits this track better than his previous cars did years ago, I'm sure he'll be right up there. And obviously, we have to remember for Sergio Perez that he is absolutely fantastic around Baku. Won last year's Grand Prix in Azerbaijan, and he has 4 top 6 finishes in the 5 races here in Baku, with 3 of them being podiums. And remember, out of the 5 races at Baku, the only one that he was in a front-running car for was last year. So his record here in Baku is seriously impressive, and I think he's qualified in the top 10 every year here. Like I said, most of them being in midfield cars. So Sergio Perez, that's why I think he'll be winning today, and that's pretty much why Perez is ahead of Verstappen on the grid for the 2nd race in a row. And then for Mercedes, even though they are 5th and 7th on the grid, nowhere near where they would want to be, they are the most successful team in F1 races in Baku with 3 victories. Lewis Hamilton, though, doesn't have a great record here. Only 2 podium finishes in 5 races in Baku. Obviously, in all of those years, he had a car good enough to win the Grand Prix. So, yeah, not a great Grand Prix for him, to be honest. And it's probably the reason why he's behind Russell on the grid. Also, Russell, I think, does tend to get on better with this year's car and obviously this track. And for the midfield, look out for Aston Martin, because since F1's first race in Baku, Force India / Aston Martin have had 3 podiums in 5 races in Baku, and Sebastian Vettel has 3 podium finishes in Baku. Obviously, 2 of them were for Ferrari in 2016 and 2019, and his 1 pole position here, like I said, in 2018. So those are the teams, or those are the stats for the teams to look out for today. And for Aston Martin, yeah, definitely look out for them with Vettel in the top 10. And quickly, before we get going, as the F1 intro is now playing on the TV broadcast, let me quickly get into the championship standings. So coming into this race, Max Verstappen is leading the Drivers' Championship by 9 points. Leclerc has to win today. He has absolutely no excuse, and neither does Ferrari. And then, yeah, Leclerc second. Perez third, 15 points behind Verstappen. If Perez can win today's Grand Prix and Verstappen finishes, say, third, with Leclerc in between, if that does happen, then Perez will be very, very close to taking the lead of the championship going into the Canadian Grand Prix. And maybe, if Verstappen finishes even lower than that, maybe, you never know, Perez could be leading the Drivers' Championship after 8 races. That would be a pretty mental thing to happen. George Russell is 4th, Carlos Sainz 5th. Surely today, Carlos will go above Russell in the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton is 6th, Lando Norris 7th, Bottas 8th, Ocon 9th, and Magnussen 10th. And then in the Constructors' Championship, it is Red Bull leading by 36 points, Ferrari 2nd, Mercedes 3rd, McLaren 4th, 5th and 6th, Alfa Romeo and Alpine. Alpine should go up to 5th today. And then AlphaTauri is 7th, Haas 8th, Aston Martin 9th, and Williams in 10th. And I'll get rid of the countdown there and get all of the graphics ready for you guys for this Grand Prix. Of course, 51 lap Grand Prix doesn't sound a lot, but it is a 1 minute 45 at least, or probably not even with these. Probably with these cars, a 145, 146 per lap. And on the left hand side there, that is the running order, and that is the starting grid, of course. And I'll just get the lap counter and all ready for you guys, as formation lap should be getting underway in a couple minutes time. And don't think we have any news yet, do we, on who's starting on what tyre, but we do have what I can tell you about the tyres is that they are the 3 softest compounds this weekend. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I'll quickly read out the starting grid again. So, Charles Leclerc will be the man on pole position, Sergio Perez 2nd, Max Verstappen 3rd, Carlos Sainz 4th, George Russell 5th, Pierre Gasly 6th, Hamilton 7th, Tsunoda 8th, Vettel 9th, Alonso 10th, and then Norris 11th, Ricciardo 12th, Ocon 13th, Zhou 14th, Bottas 15th, Magnussen 16th, Albon 17th, Latifi 18th, Stroll 19th, and Mick Schumacher in 20th place. And like I said, as soon as I know what the tyre situation is in terms of who's starting on what, then I'll try and get it displayed on screen in the next couple minutes or so. As we'll find out probably in a few seconds' time. And
I actually can't find it on Twitter at the moment, Chance. Usually I'd be able to tell you right now, but
yeah, I was going to say normally you know by this time, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it'll be the medium compound tyre, because I think the soft tyre, I mean, it'll give you benefit for the first lap or two, but after that, in this heat, I think it won't be worth it whatsoever. So, yeah, I think the medium compound tyre will be the tyre of choice for...
Okay. Well, everyone in the top 10 is on the medium tyre.
Right. So,
that's what Leclerc has been told.
Okay. And, well, let's hope that they haven't put him on the soft then. Knowing them, never know. I think I've got, hold on, 1, 6. I think I might have got it correct for the top 10, and then we don't know, do we, below the top 10?
No, that's all that Charles has been told.
Right. As on the broadcast, we're looking at George Russell. Now they lift off the tyre blankets, and we get to see the tyres, and yeah, the front runners, no surprise on the medium compound tyre. And even though we have the softest possible compounds, I am expecting this to be a one-stop race without a safety car. But with a safety car, it could easily be a two-stop race. As the formation lap begins in a second, it begins right now. So the formation lap has begun. And Leclerc and Perez, they're doing a bit of a practice start. Looks like there's a couple people there on the hard tyre, or a few people. Williams, well, not Williams, and Alpine. That's probably Ocon, I think. Yeah, would be great FOM if you could show that. Who's on what tyre?
It's a shame that live timing doesn't show it because, well, I've got the live timing up, but yeah, no idea about the tyres.
So, hold on. Let me just... So, yeah, the top 10 I've got correct. For the rest, I mean, I know for some of them it says retired, obviously. That's used over from last Grand Prix. But yeah, as soon as I know what tyres people are on, I will update it, so don't worry. But, there you go. There's the lap counter. And obviously, 0 out of 51 because we are only halfway through the formation lap. And yeah, that's also a stat I probably forgot to read out this weekend. In the 6 F1 races, there's never been a repeat winner. Well, there's been 5 races here in Baku. This is going to be the 6th one. As Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, it is heading towards the end of the middle sector. So, we'll see. And yeah, predicted pit stop strategy, medium to hard. The one stop and the pit stop would be between lap 18 and 23. And then the 2 stop is medium to hard and then soft for the end. I don't think we'll see the soft tyre today unless there's a safety car in the final 8 laps or so. Or maybe 10 laps. I just don't think we'll see the soft tyre today because in this heat it will wear out pretty quickly. As Leclerc... It's just leading Perez and Verstappen onto the pit straight now. So we are not far away from the beginning of this Grand Prix. On a first lap, accidents are possible. But in terms of change of position, not always that possible here in Baku. Because remember, it's such a short run to turn 1. And obviously, having pole is important in Baku for that reason. Because you don't have to defend, a bit of a straight going down to the first corner or the first braking zone as Leclerc doing his burnouts now down to the grid and Red Bull preparing themselves for this start. And at the very least for Charles Leclerc, what he's got to do is obviously maintain the lead and then straight away start building a gap by lap 3.
If you haven't got the tyres already, Chaz, sorry, just quickly, just so you can get this sorted. Everyone on the medium except for Ricciardo, Ocon, Bottas, Stroll, and Mick on the hard compound.
Right, well, considering we're so close, I'll have to do it in probably a lap or 2, but I've got it for, I think, the top 11, I've got it correct for, but I'll show it once I've got it all
very good
done. But we are now lining up on the grid for this Grand Prix as the 2 Williamses line up. Now Stroll and Schumacher. And here we go in Baku. Can Charles Leclerc hold on to pole position? Has to today. It's 4 lights, 5 lights in Baku. And lights out and away we go. And Leclerc has not got a good start whatsoever as Perez down the inside. Leclerc locks up. Can Verstappen have a go now at Leclerc? Leclerc defends the inside. Verstappen now going for the inside, but doesn't quite get it done. But Carlos Sainz behind might have a go on Verstappen. Disaster already for Ferrari, but there is a big train behind Verstappen as Sainz tries to get past Verstappen here. Can he have a go? And no, not quite. But it is Sergio Perez who is in the lead here as a Mercedes there having a go at Sainz, but not getting it done. But yes, Sergio Perez is into the lead from Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, and then Russell Gasly. As we're seeing there, I think Alonso trying to overtake Tsunoda in turn 5 and 6. Starting grid incident under investigation. Latifi, Jesus Christ, what have you done now? As the two McLarens we're seeing there, just closely behind. Look at this. Perez already pulling away very quickly from Leclerc. Also, a bit of a concern for Leclerc. That lock-up he made at turn 1, hopefully, hasn't damaged his tyre too much. Because obviously down the final sector, that's going to vibrate quite a bit. So, hopefully, that's not going to be a big concern for him. But already, we've got... so, Sebastian Vettel is up to 8th. For Aston Martin, Tsunoda 9th, Alonso 10th, and then Norris, Ricciardo, Ocon, Zhou, Bottas, Albon 16th, and then Stroll 17th, and then Magnussen, Latifi, Schumacher as they're about to begin lap 2, and Sergio Perez has a very comfortable lead of, I think, over a second. And look at the slipstreaming there in the background as we've got here Alonso, I think, right behind Tsunoda, but he cannot get the move done. There's an Alfa Romeo. That's actually Albon passing Bottas there for 15th. As Magnussen, I think, there also overtaking Stroll in the Haas. And I think that was the only overtakes we had down that straight just then. But here's the race starting here, but disaster for Ferrari.
Yeah, of course, I'm like about 5 seconds behind you, so we're just catching up now, and there we go. And yeah, a terrible start for Leclerc. Leclerc a little bit saved by the fact that Sainz was able to just somewhat stick his nose down the inside of Verstappen so that he couldn't get a mega run and have a real go at him at turn 2. But Verstappen just able to hold on down into turn 3. As we could see Sainz rapidly approaching, but just not able to get far up alongside. But yeah, disaster for Leclerc. I mean, especially with the lockup. Like, that's a pretty big lockup, and we've already seen Verstappen quite close to the back of Leclerc towards the end of that last lap. It was just the second phase. I don't have the audio on, so I couldn't exactly hear the revs, but it just looked like the second phase was absolutely horrible of that start. And yeah, we need to be sort of seeing the action. But at the moment, I mean, Perez is 1.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc. He's just gone 6 tenths quicker in the middle sector. So Perez certainly putting himself in a very good position at this stage of the race.
He is, as we've now begun lap 3, and he's now almost 2 seconds clear of Leclerc, and definitely Verstappen now about 9 tenths or about a second behind Leclerc. Leclerc definitely in a slight bit of trouble now, because he's now going to have to look in his mirrors, I think, quite a bit today. But now there's finally displaying the tyres. So let me just quickly get that sorted, and then I'll get it put on screen. So let me just do the final 4 drivers for that, and then I'll, like I said, display it on the screen. But yeah, the top 11 are on the medium compound tyre, and here's a replay of Latifi.
He's got a 10-second time penalty for this, by the way, or 10-second stop and go, sorry.
Oh, for that. For the engineer wheeling him back. What an idiot. That Williams...
Yeah, touching the car after the 3-minute warning, dear.
Williams probably going to sack that guy, which sounds bad, but that is really bad.
Oh, dear.
But let me just quickly get this last couple tyres sorted. And there you go. So F4 on the top 11 is on medium tyres, and then Ricciardo, Ocon, Magnussen. No, not Magnussen. Magnussen's actually gone up a position, up to 16th, but Bottas is on the hard compound tyre as we now begin lap 4 out of 51, and Sergio Perez is 2.2 seconds clear of Leclerc, and Verstappen has now DRS is enabled as the McLaren here of Daniel Ricciardo having to go at Lando Norris. Verstappen now has DRS on Leclerc, so Leclerc could be losing second very, very soon. In fact, I'd expect it. No disrespect to him, as Ricciardo looking very good on this hard compound tyre with the DRS wide open. And to be fair for McLaren as a team, with Ricciardo having DRS, does help them defend from the cars behind. But Norris already dropping a bit of time to the cars ahead, as there is Latifi taking his penalty. And yet Latifi now to the very back. So I'll just update that. And Latifi is on the medium compound of tyre. So that pushes Mick Schumacher up to 19th. But we're just seeing here, Nib, Verstappen tantalisingly close to have DRS down this final sector. I think he'll just get it, I think. Or not quite.
Well, I think whilst you were editing some stuff on for the stream, Science come across the radio and said Red Bull are fast. Yes, Carlos.
Yeah, that's stating the obvious there. So Max, doesn't have No, he does have DRS. Well then, here we go. Leclerc's going to have to start looking in his mirrors quite a bit now, because Verstappen, it's turn 1. Leclerc is still half second ahead, as Leclerc there losing the rear end slightly. But Leclerc's now going to have Max most likely on his gearbox until at least the first pit stop, whenever that may be. As Sergio Perez on lap 5 now leads by 2.2 seconds. And Verstappen is all over the back of Leclerc, and even in these corners, the Red Bull looks pretty nice. Not as good as a Ferrari probably, but in clear air for both cars. But Verstappen looking pretty good here, and thankfully for him, Perez is not too far up the road. But obviously, the longer he leaves this overtake, then the less chance of him winning the Grand Prix, as Carlos Sainz is 3 seconds behind this battle for second. So Sainz is already really out of play. So Ferrari can't use him in any way to help them out. As into turn 15 they come. And he's definitely going to be probably a 10th, maybe 10th and a half closer this time down the pit straight. Verstappen a couple tenths closer, and Leclerc might have to get defending here very, very soon. As Verstappen now onto the pit straight he comes, and DRS is opened now. Let's see if he can force Leclerc into a bit of defence as he comes down to the braking zone. And no, not quite close enough, but Leclerc definitely going to be under pressure now for quite a bit. The thing that really is probably helping Leclerc at the moment is that thinner rear wing that they went for this weekend, which definitely helped them get pole position yesterday, as Sergio Perez is still comfortably leading by 2 to 2.5 seconds by the looks of it.
And I think the thing that helped Leclerc there a little bit down the pit straight was that Verstappen had a little bit of a wobble out of the final last proper corner, as the field's a little bit spread out, to be honest. I mean, well, with not many drivers within DRS, we've got Albon in the DRS of Magnussen, we've got Ricciardo in the DRS of Norris, then Hamilton in the DRS of Gasly, as we're about to see a replay of Magnussen and Albon as Albon tries to go down the turn 1, but nothing happened. I mean, Albon trying to get him to turn 2, and then we cut away from it. So, good job.
I think with that one, I think Magnussen just passed him because he was behind him, I think, a lap ago. So, I think that's what happened there. So, yeah, Magnussen, now Magnussen is second clear. So, yeah, Magnussen, I think, was just making a move probably before that turn 1. As now we're looking at Lewis Hamilton, who is within a second of Pierre Gasly in this battle for 6th place. Mercedes, though, not as quick in the straights this weekend, and that's due to the porpoising. And Hamilton definitely has a bit more bouncing in his car than his teammate does. As here is now Verstappen down the pit straight. As Perez leads by 2 seconds. Leclerc is cutting the gap down as Verstappen closes into the braking zone, but is still obviously not close enough. Needs to be about 2 or 3 tenths closer through that final corner, really, to get a move done on Leclerc, as Hamilton must have made a mistake that we didn't see because he's now 1.3 seconds behind Gasly, and Sebastian Vettel behind is actually closer too, as Verstappen really close now, or he was just a moment ago in turn 3. And yeah, with the how hot it is, and as this stint goes on with that Ferrari of Leclerc, I mean, I'm sure Leclerc at this point is pushing very hard. Those Ferrari tyres are going to be wearing out pretty quickly, I think, very soon. As Verstappen definitely through now the castle section, closer to Leclerc than he was previously. And it's sad to say, but it is the truth, it's a matter of time before Verstappen passes Leclerc here. And we're still not quite close enough for a pit stop. We're probably about 10 laps away at least, away from that. As, Verstappen, exit of turn 16, drops a couple tenths, but this is where the Ferrari is pretty good. Perez still a couple seconds ahead of Leclerc. And no, Verstappen, not a great exit from turn 16, so he is not going to be able to do the overtake on this occasion, but continues to have DRS on Leclerc as they come down the pit straight. And Verstappen closing in, but still not close enough. And I'm sure Red Bull will be hoping he gets past soon because they don't want him overheating the car in the slipstream. And obviously, down that straight, there is no shade, so they'll want him to go on.
We've got a little bit of an update with the McLaren battle, or the non-battle, as Ricciardo is being told to stay behind for the time being.
Right. Not sure about that. I mean, if Ricciardo's got better pace on that hard compound tyre, surely they want to utilise it, but Ricciardo says, if this is his best pace, I've got more. I mean, if he's got, if he's got a few tenths extra on that tyre, then really they've got to let Ricciardo have a go. Because Alonso is only a second and a half ahead of Norris. So, he could, Ricciardo, start making some gains on Alonso. I mean, he's not going to overtake him, obviously. But, doesn't make sense for McLaren to really be doing that. But that's what they've decided to do. As Verstappen, as I'm guessing, maybe made a mistake, or Leclerc's just put in a very good middle sector, but Leclerc has now broken that 1 second window. So that is critical as a DRS detection point. I think they've just gone through, and Verstappen, I'm pretty sure, was over a second behind. I'm pretty sure doesn't have DRS. No, he doesn't. So he did have DRS, so somehow closed it all back again before the detection point. And he's now back to half a second behind is Verstappen. And Sector 1 and Sector 2, Leclerc pretty quick and pretty much quicker on that last lap, but Verstappen half a second quicker in the final sector, as Verstappen very close into the braking zone of turn 3, but not close enough for an overtake. And they're just showing there as well, Nib. Carlos Sainz is falling away so quickly, half a second a lap, and just he's not in this race, is he? As yellow flag in sector 1, I think that's Sainz. Because I thought he went down the escape route.
He went straight on. He went straight on, yeah.
Carlos Sainz straight on. Has he got a problem? Or has he just gone too deep? No idea. I mean, that's not going to be a safety car because he's not really in the way there. But no idea what's happened there for Sainz. Looks to me like he's got a problem, or he's waiting for everyone to go past so he can reverse. So Carlos Sainz, his very poor season continues. And no, we're not seeing anything about, what the problem is.
Well, he's stuck in second gear. He's in second gear. Like, can he not go down the gears?
Virtual safety car deployed, by the way. Was that a mistake or a problem? That looks like it could be both.
Yeah, I'm not really sure because, I mean, he's sitting in the escape road in second gear, so yeah, I'm not really sure, Chaz.
Well, he came down. He went as Leclerc pits for Ferrari. And very slow pit stop. But will he come out as there's another car coming into the pits of Russell? Verstappen up to second, Leclerc third. Let me just put Sainz all the way down the order quickly.
Yeah, a failure for Sainz. He's out the Grand Prix.
Right. Well, he changed gear from 5th down to 2nd, but obviously maybe his engine locked up or something. As Gasly, Hamilton, Vettel and Tsunoda all in the pits. Gasly's had a slow stop there, and an Aston Martin there has jumped to Mercedes. Vettel's got ahead of Hamilton. Vettel jumps Hamilton in the pit stop phase. Brilliant by Aston Martin. I don't think Mercedes' pit stop was that slow.
It's 3.6 compared to a 2.8 for Vettel.
Yeah, that's great there for Vettel. And here's a replay of Leclerc. I'll do the tyres in a moment. Because obviously, I'm assuming a lot of them have gone on to hard compound tyres. And yeah, they have. Everyone on hard tyres now, except for Perez, Verstappen, Alonso, and Norris, I believe. So let me just do the order quickly. So Perez is leading on lap 10, Verstappen is second, Leclerc third, Russell fourth, and then Alonso is 5th for Alpine. Norris is up to 6th. And then Ricciardo is in P7. Gasly is 8th. Green flag, by the way, now. Track is clear. So Gasly 8th, Ocon 9th. By the way, that's going to be a worry for Ferrari with that problem there. So Gasly 8th, Ocon 9th. Vettel 10th. And the Red Bulls, because they stayed out, the Red Bulls will now have to stay out and do a different strategy now compared to Ferrari with Charles Leclerc. Vettel 10th, Hamilton 11th, and then Tsunoda in 12th, and then Bottas 13th. Stroll is 14th, with Zhou 15th, Magnussen 16th, Albon 17th, and then Schumacher and Latifi at the back. Let me just quickly do the lap counter, because we're now on lap 11 out of 51. And Nib, have Ferrari... is that a great strategy Ferrari have gone on to, or is that a mistake, do you think?
Really not sure at the moment, Chaz. I mean, it's going to depend a little bit on Leclerc's pace. Of course, it is earlier than what you wanted to do, and with it being hot, obviously it isn't going to help. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, good on Ferrari for taking the risk. I mean, it's rare that they take a risk like this, but it might potentially work out. Of course, I'll be watching the sector times to see how his pace is doing, but I think it's going to certainly help Max in this race because he wasn't able to match Leclerc in the middle sector, and I think a lot of that is because of him being in the dirty air of Charles. So we'll see how the paces of these three at the moment.
Yeah, we will. Also, well, the strategy for Red Bull might actually, if fresher tyres around here today turns out to be very fast, might turn out to be still good for Red Bull, because obviously if Leclerc does once these two pit, well, actually, Leclerc will. If these two were to pit now, Leclerc would, I'm pretty sure, go into the lead of the race. But Red Bull would have fresher tyres and, obviously, that straight line speed to get past. So, going to be close here. It's going to be very, very close as we're looking at Lando Norris in 6th. I'm just trying to update the tyres quickly. Let me just quickly do the lap counter as we're now on lap 12.
Yeah, and just quickly whilst you're doing that, Chaz, it's quite funny. I was speaking about how Verstappen wasn't quite quick in the middle sector behind Leclerc, and then he did immediately his personal best middle sector in the clean air. And over the second part of that lap, he gained 4/10 on Perez. So Max, well, the gap's gone out to 2 seconds again. It was at 1.7 over the start-finish line, but that's something to keep an eye on, as Leclerc was about doing the same pace as Perez. Oh, well, Perez actually was fast because he did a purple first sector by 3/10. So, go on, Checo.
Yep, his pace, pretty good, especially now after the restart. He started to pick up the pace there. But yeah, on the left-hand side of your screen, that is now the order and all the tyres now correct. And yep, lap 12 out of 51, your top 10. Perez, Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, Alonso, Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly, Ocon, Vettel. Perez, Verstappen, Alonso, Norris, Ricciardo, and Ocon, though, have not pitted. So, yeah, plenty to come in this Grand Prix. As definitely at the front, there's going to be a lot of, well, maybe not overtaking, but some excitement later in this Grand Prix. The problem for Ferrari is, I mean, yes, they have the fresher tyres at the moment, but can Leclerc get to the end on that tyre? I mean, he might if he looks after them, but he does also need to push a bit because he needs the pace difference over Red Bull right now. And it looks as though, Nib, Leclerc is now losing time to Perez. It was like 12.1 seconds, I think, or, lowish on the, 12-second gap. And now it's almost up to 30, well, it was almost then up to 13 seconds. So it doesn't appear at the moment, does it, that the pace of those hard tyres is that great compared to the mediums on the Red Bulls?
Oh, you would be wrong, because Charles has gone 4/10 faster than Perez on that previous lap.
Oh, right. Not for the first time am I massively wrong. As we're on the TV broadcast now on lap 13, we're looking at Sebastian Vettel, who is really close to the back of Ocon. Obviously, Ocon is not pitted yet, and I think Vettel might be going for a move here down to turn 3. Obviously, the Alpine very hard to overtake. Can Vettel go round the outside? And oh no, what's happened? Oh, he's been pushed wide or he's gone too deep. Vettel's lost a couple positions there. And another one to Tsunoda. Thankfully, didn't collect him. But, oh, that's such a shame.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was very, very close.
Yeah, Vettel, it was with Tsunoda, very close. That was Seb just gut breaking way too late there. Yeah, he didn't get pushed.
Right. Well, let's see what he did. And, yeah. Well, actually, I think he was further ahead in the braking zone, I think, than he thought. He didn't have to brake that late, did he? He could have braked a bit earlier and probably still got the overtake done. And here's a replay from Tsunoda's. I mean, I'm not sure Sebastian will get a penalty for that, but it's, it's pushing it, put it that way. As we're on lap 14 now. And Hamilton now, that Vettel is out of the way, is all over the back of Esteban Ocon. As Charles Leclerc does a new fastest lap, a 1:47.5.
Yeah, that was 1.3 seconds faster than Perez on that lap. And it was off the back of a ridiculous first sector where he was 6/10 faster than the Red Bulls. I don't know if he's had DRS from someone, but there's not any cars a lap down. I don't know how he had such a good first sector. Um, and then a further 6 tenths in the middle sector. So, yeah, Charles is really starting to fly now.
Yep, he is. That was a stunning lap. That was, yeah, absolutely miles quicker. And is Latifi lapped, or is he not quite there yet?
No, not yet, not yet. It's 78 seconds
Right,
from Perez. So yeah, not yet.
right. Max Verstappen, by the way, now within a second of Perez, so maybe Perez is struggling a bit on his tyres. As here's a replay of, I just updated it in my running order. It's Zhou Guanyu overtaking Lance Stroll. He's having a good weekend, Zhou. The unfortunate thing about it is Alfa Romeo don't have that good a pace. Look at this, Verstappen all over the back now. Perez, as they come down the pit straight, he's only 6 tenths of a second behind. Will he go for the move? Perez gonna have to defend here, or is he not? No, Verstappen down the inside. Perez doesn't even try to defend. And Max Verstappen into the lead here on lap 15 out of 51.
Perez has had to have made a mistake in the final sector because it wasn't even close going into at the end of the middle sector.
Yeah, something must have happened because that is, yeah. Maybe, like I said, maybe his tyres are a bit worn. They are getting close now, the mediums, to being done. Another 5 laps probably, and they'll need to get onto the hard tyres. As Leclerc, as it stands, is in third, but he'll be in the net lead, or he will be in the lead, once the 2 Red Bulls pit, unless there is a virtual safety car or red flag or anything like that. As Kevin Magnussen overtakes Lance Stroll for 15th place. I've just seen down the order as Hamilton stuck behind Ocon, and the reason is because the Alpine is an absolute rocket down the straights, and the Mercedes this weekend isn't, but in the corners he's absolutely all over the back of him. And Leclerc, yeah, Perez nib I think has a tyre problem, because look at the amount of time Leclerc's gaining on Perez. 2 seconds quicker, isn't he?
Yeah, on this lap, and Perez was told not to defend by Red Bull, so obviously they could see that the cliff was coming for Perez, and yeah, he's losing so much time to Verstappen at the moment. A second in the middle sector. Really odd for this to happen to Checo.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's not a car problem. That's all I'm hoping, because him not defending his position, I was initially thinking, and yeah, they're saying on team radio, no fighting. I was just hoping he wasn't letting him go because he was starting to develop a car issue. But if I was Red Bull, I would pit him, because his pace is not going to get any better now, is it? Unless this turns out to be a graining phase, but I don't think it will be. Remember, again, these tyres are the absolute softest compounds for this weekend. This is the C4 tyre that they have, and it's, the C4 tyre is a pretty soft compound. So,
I mean, Chess, his pace was that bad. The only car slower than him on track was Nicholas Latifi.
Yeah, they've got to pit him unless they're going to try and hold Leclerc up. As there's Carlos Sainz walking back in. And if you don't know, Carlos is out of the race. He retired with a car problem a few laps ago, as Zhou has now passed Bottas for 13th place. As Hamilton still stuck behind the Alpine. Deja vu for him, obviously, of 2 weeks ago in Monaco. Thankfully, though, can overtake here in Baku. But still finding it pretty hard with that Alpine being so quick. And just looking, yeah, Perez losing another second and a half by the looks of it to his teammate, as here's a replay of Zhou passing Bottas. I think, Nib, you said to me before the stream, Bottas, I'm assuming, has a problem. I don't think he does. I think it's just slow, because, I mean, before the virtual safety car came out, Zhou was just miles quicker. As lap 17 now, and Red Bull are bringing in Sergio Perez for a pit stop. It was about time. So he will drop Perez to Slow pit stop. Very slow pit stop for Perez. That's lost him. That's lost him about 3 seconds in that stop. So Perez is down to third. And the Mercedes is now coming down the straight, so they want to get ahead of him, and he will just about. As what tyre is Perez on? He's on
the hard.
The hard. And yeah, thankfully gets out ahead of Russell. And he should start pulling away from Russell pretty soon. So Perez down to third on the hard compound tyre. And Verstappen, I assume Verstappen will stay out probably to the end of this lap or maybe the next lap. But if he was to pit this lap, or the end of this lap, it would be a sensible decision because it's about time to switch onto the hard tyres. And yeah, I think they were slow on one of the rear tyres there, weren't they? Pretty sure they were. As Perez now starts to get up to speed. And Perez is now 18 seconds behind Leclerc. So he's got to make up in 34 laps, or 33 laps in a moment, 18 seconds. Is that realistic, Nib?
If Leclerc's tyres start to fall off, then yeah, but I mean, it's quite alarming how badly Perez's tyres fell off the cliff then. I mean, yeah, he was told not to fight, but it was clearly a tyre issue for Perez.
Yeah, it clearly was. Just took too much out of them in those opening laps. Is here now is a bit of a train by Fernando Alonso. We know Alonso loves a train and loves being at the head of it.
It was just a good overtake by Magnussen, by the way, that we didn't quite commentate on just then.
Yeah, that was down to turn 1 on Bottas, so he's up to 14th. His pace is not too bad, Magnussen. He's had a few overtakes in this race today. As Lando Norris down the pit straight, he's got DRS on Fernando Alonso, but that pretty much just equals out their straight line speed, doesn't it? With the McLaren and Alpine, so that's not, there's no overtake that's going to happen there. Here's Lewis Hamilton, yet again, stuck behind Ocon. And with Ocon holding up Hamilton, if Ocon can keep Hamilton behind him long enough, that's going to really help Alonso. Because Hamilton is about 7 seconds away from this fight with, Alonso, Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly, and definitely a train forming behind Fernando. As Leclerc, by the way, as Lewis Hamilton down the inside at turn 3. And the overtake is done. So Lewis Hamilton up to 9th, and now he can get after that pack. And I think he'll join that train of cars pretty quickly, will Lewis. As I was just going to say with Verstappen and his comparison to Leclerc, he is losing quite a bit of time, but it's not as bad at the minute as it was for Perez. But
a second a lap to Leclerc.
Yeah, as he's now been told to pit Verstappen. I've noticed though, Perez Nib has already took a few tenths of a second out of Leclerc's lead over him. As Verstappen, now on lap 19, comes into the pits, and that will now put Charles Leclerc into the lead of this race. So Leclerc is in the real lead of this race, has finally gained it back, and it should be, Verstappen second, and Perez does the fastest lap of the race of 1:47.5. And yeah,
it's about 8 tenths faster than Leclerc on that lap, for reference.
That is about, isn't it, what he needs if he's gonna catch Leclerc. As Alonso has pitted as well. As Ricciardo there, I think, was having a go at Norris. Surely McLaren have got to allow Ricciardo here to now have a go, because he's clearly quicker than Norris. I know Norris was stuck in behind Alonso, but Ricciardo is clearly quicker, and they need to defend themselves against Gasly coming down to this braking zone. But surely they've got to allow him to do an overtake there. Do you think they will, or do you think they're going to keep him behind? Doesn't make sense to, does it really?
With Gasly behind, they'll probably keep Ricciardo behind. If Ricciardo just doesn't overtake Norris properly.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens on that. Alonso, I can tell you, has dropped after his pit stop to 15th place. As, by the way, for any Vettel fans out there, he has recovered. He's now right behind Tsunoda, and Tsunoda is right behind Ocon. So Vettel's still in a decent position at the moment. And it's now lap 20 out of 51. So really, Norris in the McLaren, I mean, they can keep him out if they want, but really they should pit him because I think he's going to start losing a lot of time as Perez does another new fastest lap. And did he go, what, a second quicker that lap, by the looks of it?
I'm not sure because my live timing is about 20 seconds behind live. So
right.
Let's see. He didn't do a new fastest lap, Chaz.
Did he not?
No.
Oh, I thought he did.
I think it was. If you saw the purple thing, it was for Verstappen doing the fastest middle sector.
Oh, right, okay. How much Perez
let him through for crying out loud. Like, what are McLaren doing? What are McLaren doing?
I didn't quite see there. Was he having a go at Norris?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense at this point. I know you could argue, well, they've got to defend themselves in a straight line, but Norris is going to lose position anyway because his tyres are gone. So, yeah, doesn't make sense really anymore. Right, so I think I've got the running order correct. And yeah, the only drivers right now on mediums are Norris and Schumacher. Mick Schumacher, by the way, has pitted for his medium tyres, which is a bit of a surprise there. But Lando Norris has not pitted, and yeah, surely Lando is going to pit in a moment because his pace... Oh no! That's Leclerc! Ferrari! Another blow-up for them, and that is a proper engine blow-up. And Ferrari have done it yet again. Great position they were in, and it's game, set, and match. Red Bull surely have got this one. That is an old school blow up right there. Absolute disaster at Ferrari. And if Red Bull get the win here, if Verstappen does get the win, then honestly, given the way things are going, championship is nearly going to be over here in 2022 as Leclerc comes back in. What a disaster. But then again, it's Ferrari. It's expected at this point.
Oh dear. Oh dear. As I was just about to interject and say that there was a hydraulic problem with Sainz's car, and well, I think we know what type of issue that was, as Ricciardo is just about defending from Pierre Gasly here for P4. But I think, yeah, as I was going to say, I think we know what sort of issue that is for Charles Leclerc.
Yeah. An
a big engine failure.
Just like Spain, but obviously not as spectacular as that one we just saw. So the two Ferraris are out of the Grand Prix. No points will be scored. And Red Bull, as long as they keep it, first and second, Red Bull now thankfully can turn their engines down and just cruise home because Russell is not going to get anywhere near them today. Yeah. And yeah, in through the kinks. Thankfully, he didn't spin on any oil because that would have been a terrifying crash. But yeah. With Ferrari, no matter how good they seem to be, no matter how high their potential is, they'll always perform way lower than that. And yeah, that is... and Leclerc, when he saw that, must have been literally heartbroken when he saw that in his mirrors. So Leclerc is out with Sainz, and we're now on lap 22 out of 51. Just less than 30 laps to go. So I'll just update as well that Lando Norris, as Ricciardo here, I think, is about to be overtaken by Gasly. Yep, Ricciardo's having to defend, and Gasly overtakes him. Then again, Ricciardo hasn't pitted yet. We do need to remember that. But I just want to update where Norris is, as Alonso... no, this is Ocon, who is holding up Tsunoda, Vettel, Zhou. Those two Ferraris retiring, though, does actually give an opportunity to those midfield teams. And look at that, Zhou Guanyu up in 10th. And remember, Ocon and Ricciardo haven't pitted yet, so Zhou is really on for a good result today if he keeps this up. But Lando Norris, as a Tsunoda, has passed Ocon, I'm just seeing. As here's a replay of Gasly and Ricciardo. I don't really need to see it again. It was pretty simple. And yeah, Gasly making the overtake on the Australian. But Ricciardo is doing pretty well in this race. Just needs to try and do as long a stint as he can. We're on lap 22. So if Ricciardo can do another 15 laps, then that would be good for him. And here is, yes, Tsunoda. Good move down the inside at turn 3. I mean, Ocon's tyres are pretty finished, but that is a good move for Tsunoda. And AlphaTauri heading for a big points finish at the moment because Gasly is 4th, which I'll update in a moment. And Tsunoda now 7th. So Lando Norris is down now to 16th place. So let me just push him down the order, and I'll fix the tyres in a moment. And also, I'll just put on screen that it's now lap 23 out of 51. And yep, Gasly is 4th, and then it's Ricciardo 5th, Hamilton 6th, and then Tsunoda, Ocon, Vettel, Zhou, and then Magnussen, Alonso, Bottas, Stroll. Alonso, Bottas, Stroll, as Vettel, they're getting close to Ocon. Maybe he'll have a go at turn 3. And then, Albon 15th, Norris 16th, Schumacher 17th, and then Latifi 18th. And I'll just quickly do the tyres, as we'll see. Now, if Vettel will have a go at Ocon, no, he's not close enough. Not going to go for the move this time on Esteban. But it is sad. I'm not going to say it's a bit sad. It is sad what happened to Leclerc, because I think we've lost the possibility now of a really great race. Obviously we've still got a while to go in this race. Red Bull could have the same. We've seen this season them have problems. It's not championship over, is it, Nib? But if Verstappen wins and Perez finishes 2nd, then they're on their absolute last chance, aren't they, for the next couple of races?
Yeah, I mean, it's just Ferrari doing a Ferrari. Is about everyone on Twitter, and as I'm sure what people in the chat are saying, it's just classic Ferrari. When they finally have a good car that can compete, they're just not able to sustain it, as is Zhou Guanyu having an issue. Or is he letting lapped cars through? I think he might be having an issue, Zhou Guanyu.
Is he letting? Yeah, oh no, he was on for points. That's such a shame. He's had so many retirements this season as well. That's like his 4th retirement. Oh, that's so annoying. Yeah, I think we can tell the reason these cars are having problems. Obviously, Baku is a bit of a rough track, but the heat, I think, is playing a big factor here. But that's such a shame.
And of course, a Ferrari car.
Yeah, that's the 3rd Ferrari-powered car to have a problem. So, as Vettel at turn 3 has a go, Ocon, and you almost hit him there, trying to do the switchback. And we'll have to try and have another go in a moment, but that is so unfortunate, honestly. As I see Mick Schumacher is in the pits. Hopefully not as well retiring, because that's excessively bad if all Ferrari-powered cars are just going to exit from the race. But no, Mick Schumacher, I'm pretty sure, is coming in for a new set of tyres. As here's a replay of Vettel. And yeah, he could have turned in to do a switchback and knock on there, but I think he was afraid he was going to hit him. And there you go. Lap 25. And Zhou Guanyu is out. That is such a shame, because he was on for probably an 8th or 9th in this Grand Prix. Oh, I really feel sorry for him, because he's done so well this weekend. He's been miles ahead of his teammate Bottas, which is very impressive around Baku. Such a shame, but there you go. That's the way Formula 1 is at times. Anyway, I'll update the order quickly. As Vettel... Go on.
Sorry, I'm so frustrated that Ricciardo hasn't been let through early, because Ricciardo's pace on these hard tyres, with him not pitting yet, is still really, really good. He's faster than a lot of the other cars that have pitted, as Vettel just can't quite close up to the back of Ocon down into turn 1. But, I mean, he's faster than Magnussen, he's faster than Vettel, he's faster than Ocon. I mean, at the moment, he's slow. He was barely slower than Lando Norris on that previous lap, literally only by about 300ths. So, as Vettel, around the outside, into turn 3, can he get the move done? Yes, he can. As Sebastian Vettel moves himself up past Esteban Ocon and up into P8. A very good move for Seb, as he gets it done eventually down at turn 3.
Yeah, good move by Sebastian. And... yeah, very nice move, because Ocon still had his car there. So good driving from Vettel and Ocon as well. Be fair to him. Hard but fair racing. As lap 26 now. And in terms of the fight up front, well, Perez, I'm pretty sure, will be told anyway to stay behind, because they need this 1-2. The Red Bull, they've had a lot of 1-2s this season. Imola, Spanish Grand Prix as well. I mean, it's only 2, but considering we've only had 8 or 7 full races so far this season, that's quite a lot in a tight championship fight, or at least we thought it was a tight championship fight. But yeah, your current order, as we're halfway through this Grand Prix, Max Verstappen is leading, Perez is 2nd, Russell is 3rd, Gasly 4th, and then Ricciardo 5th, Hamilton 6th, Tsunoda 7th, Vettel 8th, Ocon 9th, Magnussen 10th. Ocon and Ricciardo, though, have not pitted yet, so Magnussen is a net 9th, I think. Well, not anymore, because Alonso's overtaken him. But here's Lewis Hamilton overtaking Ricciardo. So Hamilton is up now to 5th, and yeah, Alonso up now to 10th, but what will be a net? Well, in the end, once Ocon and Ricciardo pit, it'll be a net 8th place there for Fernando, but obviously we'll see what Ricciardo and Ocon can do when they finally come into the pits. But yeah, just want to say, as we're halfway through the race, don't forget to join me 45 minutes after the race finishes for the race reaction stream for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Be great to have you along for that. And as well, I'll do an in-depth review and go a bit deeper into what happened in this Grand Prix on Monday night, in a, like I said, deeper review into the Grand Prix here in Baku tomorrow night, 8 PM UK time. So make sure to join me for that as well. If you are new to the channel, as we're seeing Alonso's overtake on Magnussen, and yeah, that was pretty easy, especially in Alonso's car. Don't forget to subscribe, bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. And as well, smash the like button and share this video on the channel everywhere you can. And as well, so you can keep up with the content on this channel, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ShazHD5, and don't forget to join the Discord server as well. And surely Esteban Ocon is going to have to pit in a minute, because he's losing so much time to everybody else, and he's now about to be overtaken by his teammate Fernando Alonso. As Alonso just enters the pit straight now with Ocon. DRS now open, and Alonso, yeah, will easily get that done. So Alonso is up to 9th place, and yeah, everybody now is on the hard tyre. That won't be the case, though, once Ocon and Ricciardo pit, because they will go to the medium tyre. Ricciardo's pace, though, is still pretty good, as Nib has been saying. It's still pretty good. He's not lapping that much slower than other hard tyre runners. So, looking good there. As we're now looking at Norris overtaking Alex Albon for 14th place, and he gets it done quite easily. Does Lando. So up to 14th he goes. A lot of work to do if Norris is going to get into the points. Yeah. Probably will struggle, considering he's in a bit of traffic, to be honest. As Verstappen, by the way, if you're wondering, is leading Perez by 7.5 seconds. Russell is third, obviously, heading for yet another podium this season. And then another, obviously, top 5 finish. And he's only, Russell, only 20 seconds off the lead. So, obviously, Red Bull have backed off their pace. They could definitely go a lot quicker. But doing very well is Russell. And obviously, Gasly as well in 4th. As we're now looking at Magnussen behind Ocon. And Magnussen, I think, is going to overtake Ocon pretty easily into the 1. As Alonso's already pulled quite a big gap to teammate Ocon. And Alonso will have to watch out for, because obviously he's on fresher tyres than the 4-5 cars ahead of him. So we'll look out for Fernando going forward. And Magnussen couldn't quite get the overtake done. Here is Lando Norris behind Lance Stroll. Doesn't get the move done. Obviously, still struggling with that straight line speed, but has much grippier tyres at this point. And I'm sure it's only a matter of time before that overtake is done. And yet, looks as though exit of turn 2 into turn 3. He'll get it done here. Stroll, probably, no, he won't defend this at all. And Norris is up to 13th. And Lando, for any Lando fans out there, is only about, 8.5 seconds off the points at the minute. So Norris is looking pretty good at the moment. As we're now on to lap 29. And Magnussen still really close to Ocon as they're coming through the middle sector. What do you think is realistic, Nib, for Ricciardo? With the pace he has now, obviously he's got a pit for medium tyres. What do you think he can do? 10th, 9th? Something like that? Is he there? Not sure if he is. Unless he's gone to the toilet. He's probably gone to the toilet knowing him. Yeah, we'll see when he comes back. But I'm just going to quickly have a look on Twitter to see if there's any news. And no, can't see really any news at the minute. As Magnussen is still stuck behind Ocon. Nib, are you there? Nope, still not there. Probably having a very long piss this time. Lewis says, my back is killing me. Well, this is a talking point that I've seen this weekend, that the FIA, people have been saying that the FIA need to sort this out and need to do something to fix this. At the end of the day, if the team think it's going to be a big issue for the driver, just raise the ride height of the car and then you get rid of it. I know obviously they're not going to do that because they don't want to compromise performance, but you need to also ask the teams, do they care about their own drivers' health in regards to back injuries or a possible micro concussion that, who knows whether that is, happening with these cars. To be honest, we need to do a study to see whether that's actually happening with the bouncing up and down. I wouldn't be surprised if it was happening, but yeah, that's just the way these ground effect cars are. Why is K-Mag having a hard time passing Ocon? I don't actually know why, because the Haas in the speed traps from yesterday was pretty quick, so I don't naturally know why. Maybe Ocon is just getting a really good exit. No, that time he did not. So Magnussen, he will get it done now, because Ocon got a very poor exit from turn 16. As they're now on the pit straight. Magnussen, well, the Alpine obviously super quick down the straights. Can Magnussen close in? No, he can't. I don't know. Maybe Haas have told Magnussen about the failures for Ferrari-powered cars and told him to turn it down to avoid a failure. As he continues to sit behind the Alpine. Don't know if Nib's back yet.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, you're back. You say you were having a piss.
Yeah, I had to go to the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you for that, because obviously with Leclerc going out the race, it's made things a bit boring. But I was going to ask with Ricardo, once he pits, what's a realistic result? Do you reckon?
I mean, at this rate, you kind of have to hope that there's a safety car.
Or virtual safety car? Yeah.
Yeah, because at the moment, I'm pretty sure he's going to come out like behind Stroll. So
Yeah.
yeah, gonna need a bit of a help in this race, I think, is Daniel. But I mean, his pace. Let me check the live timing. I mean, his pace is still good. He's doing a 49.7. I mean, he's faster than Magnussen, Ocon, Bottas at the moment, and even Stroll. So, I mean, Ricardo's pace is still very good at this stage of the race, and just a shame that he couldn't use his pace earlier, as Hamilton was complaining about his back being sore, as he didn't see that pop up. And I mean, we've seen this weekend that the porpoising that these cars are having is quite ridiculous, to be honest, and it's something that I think is going to need to be looked at because, well, we know that from every bump that you go over, that you have these micro concussions, and it causes a lot of issues. So, yeah, I think it's something that the FIA are going to need to look at.
I think one thing I did see on Twitter yesterday, as who's this? This is Norris behind Bottas, I believe. And he'll probably get this move done in a moment. But one thing I did see on Twitter was why don't the FIA possibly issue a ride height, what do you call it? Like a minimum or a maximum ride height? I can't remember what it was. But to avoid there being excessive bumping, or let's say if a certain team is bumping a bit too much, then the FIA they set what their the lowest they can run to the ground can be. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Do you think
issue like a technical directive? Like,
yeah.
I don't think they will do that. I mean, I think they're just going to have to put up with it for this season, but I think at next season they might have to look at something.
Yeah, if it's happening next season to this rate, they should probably do something about it. I think their hope is that the teams will just get on top of it, and it'll be more like, say, with Red Bull, where Red Bull haven't fixed it. They don't have, no porpoising whatsoever, but they have it the least out of anyone. If all of the teams, or almost all of the teams, can get to that point, then I think they'll leave it, and I think, yeah, it should be fine. But, yeah, we do have a few bouncy cars on the grid, and one of them is the Haas car that is heading down the pit straight now and is still stuck behind Esteban Ocon, as Lance Stroll, I notice, has just pitted, and he's pitted onto the medium, so that's Stroll's first pit stop of the day. Let me quickly update that. I think, though, with Ricardo, if there's no safety car or virtual safety car, I still think, because Ocon is holding Magnussen up, I think Ricardo could probably still get 9th in this race. And if there is a safety car, maybe an 8th or a 7th, you never know. So hopefully McLaren don't, if Ricardo comes up to the back of Norris, hopefully McLaren don't play any funny games, because Ricardo should definitely have the better speed once he gets his fresh medium tyres on, which will be probably in the next 5 to 6 laps or so. As Lewis Hamilton chasing Pierre Gasly here, says he'll be in striking distance in 3 laps. Not quite sure about that, because he has been about 3.5 seconds behind for a while. He is now gaining on Gasly, but I'm not sure he'll gain that quick. And look, another Ferrari-powered car. Magnussen now has a problem. They're all falling off. And Magnussen, grinding now very slowly. And he is also out and parks. Well, that's going to be a virtual safety car. And I know exactly who will benefit from that. So yeah, Magnussen, he's parked on the inside of turn 15. So that's 4 Ferrari-powered cars out of the race. Magnussen down there now. And yeah, that is going to be a virtual safety car because Marshals will be on track for sure for that. Let me just quickly do the lap times. And so there's a replay of Magnussen, and it will be, yeah, exit of turn 12. Yeah, same thing as Leclerc, puff of smoke. It's the, yeah, they're just all failing in this heat. This new updated Ferrari power unit, I'm not sure if all of them are running it. As yet, virtual safety car deployed. Not sure all of them are running it, but it's definitely proving to be seriously unreliable. And F1 obviously used to say that Red Bull was seriously unreliable. The tables have turned, as it's now lap 34 out of 51, and Verstappen has pitted for a new set of hard tyres, which is obviously a good decision, because obviously last year his tyres blew out, I think from tyre wear, as Perez also pits. And slowish pit stop, but he should come out in second. Just wanted to update though that Stroll is, what do you call it? Is 14th on hard tyres. As here comes George Russell for his pit stop. We'll see what the cars behind do. Daniel Ricciardo surely is going to pit now in the McLaren. He hasn't got to the pits yet, though. So that virtual safety car probably is going to stay out for another half minute to a minute. So he does have time, as Lewis Hamilton is pitting as well. I thought he might do, to be honest. And he goes on for another set of hard tyres. And Daniel Ricciardo has now come in as well. And Hamilton is now down to 6th. AlphaTauri now 4th and 5th in this race. And Hamilton will come out in 6th position. Tsunoda up to 5th for AlphaTauri. And Hamilton 6th. Ricciardo and Ocon now pit. As here's a replay of Perez's pit stop, and it'll be the left rear tyre. This didn't go on properly. And here's a replay of Ricciardo locking up on the entry to the pit stand and to the pit entry line. Obviously, once you get to the pit lane, you can push as hard as you want. And Ricciardo Nib, 9th. He is now ahead of Norris and on medium compound tyres.
Mate, virtual safety car / safety car, inshallah, has worked. It has worked. So, let's go. Ricciardo with some luck.
For the first time in years, at least. Ocon also has pitted for medium tyres, says Valtteri Bottas. I'll update the tyres in a moment. We only have about 16 laps to go, so not long left in this Grand Prix. As they're going to have to move that truck that's, or that van, as it's blocking, them getting the car behind the wall. Unless they can get they need to get all of it really behind that wall. But, yeah, I'll just update the tyre situation. So lap 35 it is out of 51. And hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, nope, not that one. So Daniel Ricciardo has come out on, where is it? No, it's not him. It's, I'm trying to do it, but it won't let me do it for some reason. Ricciardo, pretty sure it's, no, it's not that. Well, Ocon is on now the medium tyre. So is Valtteri Bottas.
flag. Green flag.
Right, green flag, and we are back underway. And Hamilton now right behind Yuki Tsunoda, Ricciardo as well. Only 3 seconds behind Alonso, so 9th might not be all that he gets today. Right, so yeah, Ocon and Bottas on mediums, Stroll on mediums, and Ricciardo up in 9th or so on the medium compound tyre, as we're still on lap 35 out of 51. And yeah, the main battle on track right now is Tsunoda, Hamilton, Vettel. Hamilton obviously has pitted for a second time. Tsunoda and Vettel have not. But Sebastian Vettel, I have to say, heading for a very good result at the moment. P7 in the Aston Martin. And AlphaTauri as well. At the minute, 22 points are going their way. But there is still 15 laps to go. And Hamilton is right on the gearbox of the AlphaTauri. But Max is still leading, by the way, for all you Red Bull fans. Still leading. By how much? By 12, almost 13 seconds now to Perez. So Verstappen has a very comfortable gap, as Hamilton, I think, will be able to overtake here because he's close enough as his DRS is now open. Tsunoda will defend, but Hamilton, good move down the inside, and Lewis Hamilton is up to 5th and now has 10.5 seconds to gain on Gasly for 4th. So that is doable with 15 laps to go, but he needs to really be gaining a second per lap if he's going to do it. As Ricciardo, in 9th now, has already gained about a second or nearly a second on Alonso.
You're correct this time, Chaz. Well done.
He's cut it. It was to 2.3 then. Now it's now to 2.5. And that's back to 2.3. So he will close in on Fernando most likely, but can he overtake him with that, that Alpine straight line speed? Will be hard. And Alonso, I'm sure, will defend very hard against him, as Max Verstappen, now on lap 37, Max Verstappen does the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:46.5, but Red Bull still really aren't pushing that hard compared to what they could do if they had anyone to compete against in this Grand Prix, as Perez is 20 seconds ahead of Russell. So Russell, about a pit stop behind the second Red Bull, and Russell is almost 35 seconds off the lead. So yeah, a second per lap is what Russell is losing to the leaders, which is pretty consistent with what we've seen this weekend. As Lewis Hamilton, that lap I think gained at least a second, if not close to a second and a half on Gasly. Here's a replay of Tsunoda, and I've never seen that before. He opened half of his rear wing. His rear wing's broken.
What on earth? He's going to be losing quite a lot of downforce then. Tsunoda. No. What on earth is going on there with his rear wing?
It fully closed again, so it's not like stuck open, but yeah, half his rear wing opened. Oh, I've never seen that before. That's, yeah.
Mental.
Maybe he's hit the wall somewhere and it's knocked his rear wing slightly silly. I don't know. But I've never seen that before. Hopefully he doesn't have to retire with that, because he's in 6th at the moment. And 20 points at the moment is what AlphaTauri would be getting out of this race. And that would put them right back into the fight with Alfa Romeo and Alpine in the championship. So hopefully they don't suffer a retirement there. As Max Verstappen continues on in car number 1. He's the number 1 in the championship, and he's going to be pulling away even further in the championship after this Grand Prix if he does continue where he is to the end. Perez has just done the fastest lap of the race, but as it stands, Max Verstappen will lead the Drivers' Championship by 21 points from Perez second, and then Leclerc will be 34 points behind, I believe, going into the Canadian Grand Prix. Black and white. Oh no, black and orange flag for Tsunoda. He's fucked. He's going to have to pit. And, well, if they can't fix it, he's going to have to retire, isn't he? Such a shame. He must... If it's... Either it's broken on its own, or like I said, he's tapped the wall somewhere and it's possibly caused some sort of effect to happen. But Tsunoda... Well, AlphaTauri surely have got to pit him now. Get this sorted. Because they need to try and get it sorted. Because, if they're going to have to retire with it, there's no point staying out there.
Yeah, but how are they going to fix it? I mean, they're going to have to gaffer tape it shut.
Or tell Tsunoda not to open DRS anymore. Unless it's flapping around quite a bit, even when they don't have the DRS open on that car. I don't know. But, yeah, he's going to have to come in. So they're probably going to have to weld it shut with, some tape. And then they're going to have to tell him, just don't open it until the end of the race. But the thing is, if he pits, he's going to fall out of the points. He's going to go down to... might not fall out of the points. May come out in 10th. Because Ocon is still quite far behind. But it's going to be close. And it's going to be still a lot of points being lost for him. As we're on lap 39 now. Out of 51. As Lewis Hamilton, apparently. And there's Tsunoda coming into the pits now. Hopefully he doesn't have to retire. As he's coming in for pretty much a racing pit stop. And here comes Tsunoda. And they're going to put on a fresh set of tyres. And now they're going to try and fix the rear wing with tape. And yeah, he is going to lose. He's going to lose. He's going to fall out of the points here. Yeah, he does. As they're trying to put as much tape on it as possible to avoid there being a problem. So he will finish the race as long as he doesn't open his DRS again. But he is out of the points, and pretty much his chance of points is now gone, as he's about to lose position to Stroll, possibly. Not quite. But we're now on lap 40 out of 51. And Lance Stroll, I think, might be able to go here at Tsunoda. No, not quite. But yeah, only 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Guys, don't forget, I'll be live after the race, 45 minutes after the race, for a race reaction stream. So don't forget to join me for that. But I just want to quickly update the order. So Tsunoda has come out on soft compound tyres, and he's in 13th now. So Vettel up to 6th, Alonso 7th, Ricciardo 8th, Norris 9th, Ocon 10th, Bottas 11th, Albon 12th. Decent race from him. And yes, Tsunoda in 13th. And Tsunoda, like I said, he's on the soft compound tyre. You've got Alex Albon on the hard compound tyre. And then Ocon up to 10th now on the medium. So Alpine heading for a good result at the moment. 7 points, but so are McLaren as well. Ricciardo hasn't really gained on Alonso in the last few laps. He's still, though, only 2.3 behind. So if Alonso's tyres start to go off, because remember, Alonso did pit, 20 laps ago. So if they do start to go off, then
listen, Chaz, I think it's just the medium tyre being quite booty.
Yeah, possibly,
At this stage of the race, the hard compound tyre is quite comfortably the best tyre to be on. I mean, Ricciardo's lost a second to Norris on the previous lap. Sorry, he did lose a second to Norris on the previous lap. So we'll probably see some team orders regarding that pretty soon. Knowing McLaren.
Possibly. Yeah, Norris at the moment, 3.2 behind Ricciardo. So yeah, all the tyres and positions at the moment are now correct, as Max Verstappen is about to actually come up and lap Stroll and Tsunoda, as we're now on lap 41 out of 51. And I feel a bit sad for this race because I know people come out of this saying, oh, so boring, which, yeah, not a great race, but the Ferrari's retirements, I think, is a massive reason behind that. So, yeah, because I think we were going to get a very good fight between Leclerc, Verstappen, Perez for the win, with the Red Bulls coming back at Leclerc, but Ferrari did Ferrari things. Still time, though, for a safety car. Only 10 laps to go. As Verstappen is just going to come up and lap Lance Stroll. Just trying to see if there's any other close gaps out there. Lewis Hamilton is gaining on Pierre Gasly, but he's only 3.5 seconds behind, but not gaining by a massive amount compared to him. So we'll see what happens as we're on the radio. Lando Norris, probably talking about what you were talking about a minute ago, Nib. As Verstappen begins lap 42 out of 51.
Gotta say, Chaz, Mercedes' pace in the second stint's been really good. I mean, they're pretty much on the same pace as Red Bull. They're both doing low 47s at the moment.
True. I mean, I still think obviously Red Bull have it turned down, but yeah, the pace is still pretty good.
Yeah, but even for George, I mean,
yeah, true.
He's right there. So, yeah, I mean that in what has been a pretty difficult season for Mercedes, there's certainly been some more encouraging signs as of late.
Yeah.
Especially on the race pace side of things.
Yeah. Well, we saw that in, I think, Melbourne, we saw that, didn't we? Where there was a few times during that race where Mercedes were actually quicker than Red Bull.
Yeah.
So there is a good car there. They just haven't unlocked it anywhere near enough to its full potential. Who knows when they will? Maybe at Silverstone, where they expect to be very quick and they've got a new upgrade probably coming for there. Maybe next year. Who knows? But like I said, I think I said this in my preview for this race last night. They will be back 100%. They're too good of a team to be this bad for the next few years. I think maybe not this season. Maybe they will win a race this season if they can improve their car again. And we go to tracks that, suit their car better. But I think for sure by next season, I think they'll be back. Maybe not the fastest team on the grid, but they'll be back to being a front-running team. Do you think the same? Because, like I said, there is potential there. They just they're not able to pull it all together, are they?
Yeah, I mean, you would expect Mercedes to pull it together eventually, but just not this season. I mean, if it fails next year, then boy oh boy, that's not good for Mercedes.
No. And it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see what happens then with Lewis Hamilton, because his contract ends the end of 2023. If Mercedes are like this next year, I would not be surprised if he retired at the end of next season. I don't think they will, though. I think they'll be back next year. I think they'll be determined as well to give Lewis, who is now within a second of Gasly, as Gasly and Hamilton lap Latifi there. I think Mercedes will be determined to give Hamilton a good car again, because they know they've not got long left with the GOAT. And I know people, as Lewis Hamilton now, let's just see what he does here. Is Gasly going to defend to the inside? Lewis Hamilton dinks to the inside, but then tries to go to the outside line, but cannot get it done. Gasly defending well. Will Hamilton go down the inside there? No, there's no point, because he'll get his front end taken off. But I know people have been saying online that, Hamilton, after what happened last year, his chance for an eighth world championship, if I can speak English, people are saying, that its chance for the 8th World Championship is gone. I don't think it is at all. I think, I still think there's a good chance of that happening, possibly next year. I mean, obviously this year he's out of the fight, but don't count out Mercedes and don't count out Lewis Hamilton. And also, if Mercedes do get their act together next season, given how George Russell is performing, we could have a British world champion next season. Or, in the very near future, but might not be.
Not Lando Norris?
No, not yet.
Lando.
But, we'll see what happens next season. But, like I said, I think Mercedes will be fine next season. As Latifi now under investigation, or incident noted, him ignoring blue flags. As Hamilton now, is he going to go for the move on Gasly? No. Well, he tries, but Gasly defends. But now Hamilton gets a fantastic run out of turn 1, but he won't put his car down the inside at turn 2. But now surely we'll get a good run on the exit of turn 2, down to turn 3. And Gasly can't defend for long enough because Lewis Hamilton is up to 4th, 3rd and 4th for the Mercedes team. A good move there. And now it's under investigation for Latifi, ignoring blue flags. Is Piastri going into the car soon? Is that the rumour? Or is it for next year?
At Williams?
Yeah.
Next year, it seems.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
and I mean, if Piastri isn't on the grid next year, I'm stopping. I'm not going to watch the sport anymore.
Yeah. It would be a disgrace. It would, because he's the best F2 driver we've seen since Russell and Norris back in 2018, at least. So, yeah, considering we've had Schumacher, Latifi, Zhou on the grid. We've even had Jack Aitken.
Albon.
Oh, Albon, yeah. I mean, I think he's better than probably most of them except for Russell and Norris for the moment, as they've just shown a replay of why the 2 Ferraris are out of the race. To be honest, though,
look away if you're Ferrari fans.
if you and he's got a 5-second penalty, Latifi. Ricciardo, by the way, is now just a second or 1.2 seconds. There you go, behind Alonso. So maybe
he's going to be a second on this lap.
Maybe Alonso's tyres have gone. Like I said, he's been on them for about 25 laps now. We did see with Ocon, didn't we, that after about 25 laps, the Alpine, their tyres fell off. Obviously, they've not got a lot of downforce on that car this weekend, so they can't look after the tyres as well. But we'll see if Ricciardo can have a go at Alonso for 7th. But what was I going to say? To be honest, don't you think they should replace him really after the Canadian Grand Prix? Because, I mean, they're not losing anything replacing him now except money. But are they really needing the money that much?
I don't know. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I don't think that Williams would do that. I mean, if you want to be ruthless, yes, of course, you can set Piastri up for next year in that car. But yeah, I don't think that will happen.
Right. By the way, if whilst I'm speaking you hear a vibration noise, it's not me. It's some dickhead across the street who likes to leave his bike on for a few minutes before he goes anywhere. Can you hear it whilst I'm speaking, Nib?
Nah,
Good.
Can't hear it at all.
Well, to me, it like vibrates my house. It's that loud. So it is distracting. Always once a day about this time in the afternoon. But Daniel Ricciardo, yeah, he's definitely closer now to Alonso. Not close enough, though, for DRS. And with the prodigious straight line speed of the Alpine, I'm not sure Ricciardo will get great chances, really, to have a go at Alonso, unless Fernando's tyres really go off the cliff. But he does need Ricciardo DRS, really, start closing in, because the Alpine gaining way too much time. in the final sector. But in Sector 1 and Sector 2, the McLaren is absolutely all over the Alpine. As just trying to see if there's anything else going on. Sonoda going onto the soft tyres hasn't really worked. He's not really gained any time, so he's going to probably finish in 13th with Albon in 12th. As Max Verstappen has just begun lap 47 out of 51. Guys, make sure to post in the chat and also in the comments section your rating out of 10 for this Grand Prix and what is, or who is rather, your driver of the day. We'll get to that obviously at the end with me and Nib. Well, actually, we can do it now, can't we? Because there's nothing really going to happen, maybe, except for this Alonso-Ricardo stuff.
I think this is an easy one, Chaz.
Yeah, go for it then.
3, 2, 1, Pierre Gasly.
Yeah. Well, what about Vettel?
Okay, 3, 2, 1, Sebastian Vettel.
Well, what about Ricardo?
Oh, yeah, Daniel Ricciardo, up the Aussie. Nah, definitely not Ricciardo. I mean, he's had a good race, but yeah, I mean, Michelando is certainly, of course, against him. Did you like that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton's had somewhat of a good race after his mistake, but not driver of the day. Well, not his mistake, just after Mercedes butchering the pit stop, but yeah, I think I'm still going to stick with Gasly as my driver of the day, and then probably second would be Vettel. Yeah.
Right. Out of 10, what would you rate this race for? Like a 3, 4?
I'd go 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go 4 as well.
Lewis is complaining that his seat's gone cold.
Never heard that complaint before.
Oh no! Usually it's the opposite.
Yeah, the seat's too
with
hot.
Albon a couple of times of him literally have to get out the car in practice sessions because the seat is too hot. But well, Alonso's just done his personal best lap of the race, so I think we were perhaps having some classic Alonso tactics.
Yeah, 4D chess moves from Alonso. Yeah, for me, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10. If Ferrari, though, had not retired from the race, it probably would have ended up being a 6, maybe a 7. So, yeah, we do have to remember that. Yeah, not a great race, as Lance Stroll looks as though he is retiring. Is he? Yeah, he is. So Lance Stroll is out of the race. Considering we've had no safety cars or crashes, quite a lot of retirements, 5 for this for this Grand Prix. But yeah, I know people will say, "Oh, what a boring race," but like I said, we do have to remember that with this Grand Prix that it was affected massively by the retirement of the 2 Ferrari cars. Yeah, I'll put Stroll down to 16.
I mean, blame Ferrari.
Yeah, exactly. Blame Ferrari for this being not the greatest Grand Prix in the world. I think it was really setting up for a great race because it was going to be Red Bull, having to come back at Ferrari, and maybe, you never know, it could have, because obviously if you're pushing harder, you're going to possibly be forced into an extra pit stop. You never know, it could have been a 2-stop race if Leclerc, decided to pit again, as Verstappen has just begun lap 49 out of 51, so 3 full laps to go. And Lance Stroll is now retired. And there's Norris, I think, just lapping Latifi. And let me just put Mick Schumacher on the correct tyre, which is the hard tyre. Very poor weekend for Mick. Only better than Latifi, really, for the whole race. So, yeah, not good enough. As Verstappen, very impressive. I know Perez has got the fastest lap, but Verstappen almost a pit stop, or pretty much a pit stop ahead of Sergio Perez. Perez has been disappointing today in terms of his pace, but still a good result for him. And obviously, a fantastic result this will be for Red Bull if they do get it, with a 1-2. Obviously, for Mercedes as well, great result for them. And as well, if Mercedes do get their act together at Silverstone for the rest of the season, they're not that far behind Ferrari in the championship, because this will be, 27 points for them, and they were 65 points behind. So that'll be 37, 38 points behind. So yeah, if Mercedes can get their act together soon, then P2 in the championship might not be a lost cause after all, especially with the clowns back in town, as Norris is just about a second behind Ricciardo. To be honest, I don't see really what the point is in swapping them around, because nobody's behind them pressuring them, and Norris is not going to get after Alonso either, so I don't see the point. As we are now on the penultimate lap, as Verstappen is on team radio. No idea why. Hopefully no problems for him. Probably just wincing his way through these last few laps after what happened last year. Thankfully, though, they took that extra pit stop. As, yeah, Ricciardo, I think those, as you said, those medium tyres have, they're now past their best. The 8th and 9th for McLaren, that's a very good result for them, considering their lack of pace this weekend. That's, 6 points. Alpine will now go up to 5th, just below McLaren in the championship, and Alpine scores 7 points at the moment. So McLaren still keeping a healthy lead over the rest of the midfield in 4th place. And until McLaren fix their straight line speed, 4th has to be the aim for them in the championship. As Norris just over a second behind Ricciardo. Probably won't be able to make a move on Ricciardo. I'm sure Norris on radio, as he's now come up again, is asking to be let through, but I don't see.
Holding position! Hey!
Yeah, good. It makes sense, because they're not going to gain anything from getting Norris ahead of Ricciardo. So, yeah, makes no sense whatsoever. As now Max Verstappen.
Verstappen's going for fastest lap.
Right.
That's probably what the team messages were. These,
yeah, don't do it.
Green in the middle sector. Yeah, he's flying.
Right.
He didn't do it, though.
No, didn't do it. Perez still got it.
I think by 2000s.
What, Perez has it?
Yeah, I think by literally 2000s.
Right. Well, Verstappen has now begun the final lap here in Baku. Quickly, Nib, a quick word about Red Bull. Fantastic result, obviously, with Ferrari out. And can they be stopped in the championship now after this?
No. I mean, as we've been saying for the majority of the season, Red Bull are the more reliable team, not only just with their car, just with the decisions that they make. Red Bull are a more reliable, more experienced team in these championship scenarios. And, yeah, disaster for Ferrari. Real shame, because I think this, as you said, this race was shaping up quite nice. But, yeah, now Max Verstappen will, of course, win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yep, and it'll be his first win and first podium in Baku as well, as he's close behind a car ahead, is he? As he comes into turn 16 he is. I don't know who. I think it might be Alex or Valtteri Bottas, I think it might be. That's Max Verstappen, as Lando Norris here is going to have a go at Ricciardo. Don't know why he's trying that, so ignoring team orders there. Max Verstappen is now onto the pit straight, and this is exactly what Red Bull needed. Ferrari scoring nothing, them getting the 1-2, and Max Verstappen taking yet another vital win in this championship fight. Max Verstappen, for the first ever time, wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And in about 21 seconds from now, here he comes, Perez, onto the pit straight. He will finish in second, and Red Bull will get their third 1-2 in the last 5 races. They are dominating Formula 1 at the moment. 5 consecutive race wins for the Red Bull team. And Ferrari have fallen off massively compared to where they were back in Melbourne. It will then be Russell in third. Another podium for Russell this season. That'll be his third podium of the season, I think. And yep, here he comes, gets the podium. So third for Russell, great drive by him. Obviously benefiting a lot from the two Ferraris' problems. Lewis Hamilton will finish in fourth. Pierre Gasly will finish fifth. Sebastian Vettel will finish in sixth. Fernando Alonso will finish in seventh. Ricciardo surely will finish eighth here ahead of Norris. I'm not sure Norris will gain enough down this straight towards the line to finish in eighth, but there's no real point, to be honest, in Norris overtaking him because it's not going to make things any better. So it should be, as Alonso now comes to the line, to finish in P7, and Ricciardo now will finish in eighth. Great drive by Ricciardo, probably the best drive of his season so far, and responding to the critics very nicely there. Hopefully he keeps that up going into Canada. So then Norris in ninth, Ocon will finish in 10th, and then the rest of the finishing order, but not in the points. Bottas, Albon, Tsunoda, Schumacher, Latifi, and the retirements. 4 of them Ferrari-powered cars, but it's Stroll in the Mercedes-powered Aston Martin, and then Magnussen, Zhou, and the 2 Ferraris of Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. So that, guys, is your Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I will be live in 45 minutes from now for the race reaction, and I'll also give my driver of the day in that stream as well. Nib, thanks for coming on, mate, and hopefully, even though it's not on at a great time for you, hopefully we'll see you again for the return of the Canadian Grand Prix, and hopefully it can bounce back in style next weekend.
Yeah, with the race being on at 4 a.m, I think it's 4 a.m, I don't think I'll be on next weekend, but we'll see. Things can change. But yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in. It was obviously a big disappointment of a race. But yeah, massive advantage to Red Bull taking home the 1-2 today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you for the next one. And yeah, obviously the American races and, well, not just North American, South American races, just, yeah, not on at a good time for people in Asia and Australia. But yeah, next Grand Prix is Canada. Obviously the race watch-along and the qualifying watch-along and all of those watch-alongs will be back for the Canadian Grand Prix. But like I said, I'll be live again in 45 minutes from now, probably at 2:30 p.m. UK time is when I'll be live again for that race reaction. So don't forget to come along to that to react with me to what happened in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And yeah, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Remember, I'll be live tomorrow night on Monday for a deeper review into this Grand Prix in Baku, where we're going to be mostly looking at Ferrari, to be honest, in that review. So make sure to come along to that. And yeah, obviously for Canada, we'll be back, or I'll be back with, practice watch-alongs, qualifying watch-alongs, race watch-along, and all the previews as well for qualifying, race, and the weekend in general. So make sure as well to join me next weekend for the Canadian Grand Prix. But yeah, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to sub. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. And for everyone watching, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5 and join our Discord server, link below in the description. But guys, until my race reaction in about 45 minutes time, it has been me, ChazHD. Goodbye.